goal on this podcast is to break down step by step how anyone can build a 7-figure wholesale and flip operation. What does it take to go from making 6 figures as a wholesaler to 7 figures as a wholesaler? You have almost like a secret new strategy that I feel like is starting to become more popular, which is, how's it going, Vlad? Excited to have you on the podcast,
What's
baby.
up, baby? What's up?
Dude.
Excited to be here again.
Excited to have you on again. For people that don't know, Vlad started in this group with Ryan when he was 19. He's now 24 years old. Last year made $1.1 or $1.2 million?
1.2.
$1.2 million at 24 years old.
Revenue, not profit.
Revenue still.
Yeah.
1.2 million in revenue is extremely high. Especially at 24 years old. So I'm excited to share all this free game with people. So for people who don't know who you are, can you give us your quick backstory?
Yeah, quick backstory. So I started off in real estate back in, I was 19 years old. So right in 2019, I kind of, just saw some podcasts, was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I had just, quit football like a year earlier. I was playing at UNLV for a little bit. I quit football, was just trying to like bounce around, try to do different things. Was watching podcasts on you name, what. Nothing was really sticking for me.
Yeah.
But then I saw real estate and I was like, especially like flipping houses. And I was like, that's super cool. And one of the first podcasts that I watched, I was like, whoa, was a podcast with Ryan. I don't remember if it was Disruptors or Bigger Pockets, but one of those two.
Yeah.
And basically Ryan was just like, hey, I'm flipping 100 homes a year in Vegas. And I was like, dude, I've never heard of this guy before. Like, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
You've got to be doing some stuff to actually be flipping like 100 houses. So the first thing I Googled was, what is the average house flip profit? And then it was like, hey, you can make anywhere from 20 to 50,000 per flip. And I was like, this dude is making a lot of freaking money if he's doing 100 deals a year.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was pretty hooked on it. I reached out to Ryan right away. I basically was just like, hey, I want to, kind of pick your brain and work with you. I'll do whatever. I'll mop the floors in your office for free. And Ryan basically just told me like, hey, dude, like, I don't really need that right now. But, come to a meetup or whatever. So I ended up going out to a meetup, and then kind of the rest was history because, I ended up going. Got around people that were, at that time doing a good amount of deals. Ryan, Tyson, a few of those guys were all there, and I kind of got to pick their brain. And for me, I was just hadn't done a single deal at that point. I was just like, hey, how do I start? And they basically told me, hey, go look into wholesaling. Like, wholesale us some deals, like we'll buy them.
Yeah.
And so I ended up doing that. Kind of getting into the wholesale game. Wholesaled my first year, then started implementing some flipping because Ryan told me, you're like, dude, you can't be wholesaling all the time. You're leaving too much money on the table. So wholesaling, flipping, and then, last year we did like 55% of our deals are flip and then 45% are wholesale. So we're right around like half and half.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So how does it feel making 7 figures for your first time?
It feels good. I mean, I was chasing that for a long time, like the past couple of years. But it was really hard. I was stuck at, we did 500 in total, revenue the year, 2 years before that. And then the next year I was, we were climbing super fast. Even though it was just me and VAs, climbing super fast. But then that was end of 22. So the market kind of turned. Yeah. We ended the year still at that 500, we made all of our money basically the first half of the year, and then the second half of the year was like barely any profit, almost broke even. I think thankfully didn't lose much money, but I didn't have the explosive growth that we did. And then last year I brought on an acquisitions guy. He was just a young guy. I didn't really have a ton of expectation for him. He was just just kind of getting started. Shout out to Destry, but he's been super, super great as far as, acquisition guy goes. He kind of just, perfected his craft in it and been super, super helpful. We really dialed in our like agent acquisition model, which is kind of what he leads now. And we've hired a couple more people since then. My younger brother works for me, helps on that end as well. So, I mean, we've definitely, grown this past year more than the 2 previous years, and I think it's been the people effect.
Yeah. What do you think as far as What does it take to go from making 6 figures as a wholesaler to 7 figures as a wholesaler?
I think it's definitely leveraging people. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, in my opinion, I always thought like, well, in order for me to make more money, the company more money is just like the marketing has to be hit, way more. But the truth is, you just need somebody that's really good. And then realistically, I mean, we do a lot of the agent model, and that's what, my main acquisitions guy really focuses on.
Yeah.
And that's like, we spend a lot of money on like texting softwares and stuff like that, but not like marketing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think people is going to be the biggest thing. You could literally have, be just yourself and then bring on a guy that does just MLS, for example, and he's really good.
Yeah.
And you will absolutely explode your growth versus if you are spending 10 grand and then you start spending 20 grand on marketing.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't necessarily equate, I think, the same 100%. As a good person that is, works hard and is committed to the brand. I think that's a lot more important.
100%. I think my goal on this podcast is to break down step by step how anyone can build a 7-figure wholesale and flip operation, just like you. Because how much money do you spend in marketing a month?
I probably spend about. I don't spend a lot. I probably spend about 10 grand on marketing.
Okay,
and then probably another like couple grand on like systems and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So for us to be doing the volume that we do, it's not a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not a lot
to
do like a 10 ROAS almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I thought, before that, hey, I kind of want to be like those big wholesalers and like spend like 50 to 100 a month and stuff like that. But honestly, I've kind of gotten away from that model. It's like, how can you run the leanest operation, but still like scale at a good pace?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty important. So it's like adding more marketing and stuff like that. Because I've seen guys that have done, they're like, okay, we're doing some deals. Shoot, let's friggin' jump the marketing spend to like 50,000 a month.
Yeah.
And then they've got all these people in house and they've got all this, marketing, and all of a sudden they're, not even really making money. They're just like, it looks sexy, but it's not sexy. You know what I mean? So I think, I think that's pretty important. If you can run it lean, train your people, and then, kind of get more out of your marketing dollars. I think that's a better business to run.
100%. So, all right. So let's break down your business. How do you find your leads? We'll start off with marketing.
For sure. So there's a couple different ways that we, find leads. Since we aren't a wholesale company, just wholesale, we are able to flip. So I try to build out a lot of relationships, and I post a lot on like social media. I'm like, hey, send me deals, send me your deals, send me your deals. So we probably bought 6 to 8 last year from wholesalers.
That's pretty good.
Out of 54.
Yeah.
So 6 to 8 from wholesalers. And I mean, usually, wholesalers don't really send you the best deals. I mean, if you're a wholesaler, you're probably maximizing your profit. Yeah. If you're if you're experienced, they're going to be. So a lot of the wholesalers that we worked with were either, just kind of getting into the business or like starting out where, they, are still earning and they're not like hey, let me maximize the deal. It's like, hey, can you like help me out? And in return, I'll get you this deal. So I really encourage, if you're looking to do wholesalers, that would be the best way, kind of nurture those relationships with people starting out. And I think that's why you do like the meetups and stuff that you guys do. Super important. Wholesalers, like I said, our direct to agent has been really good. Basically, we just try to build relationships, like authentic relationships with agents. I think a lot of people nowadays, they just like, I've seen people do the AI stuff. I'm like, just what are you guys doing? Like an AI caller, like calling people. And they're like, I'm going to get like deals that way. It just doesn't work. I think the best thing in this business is no amount of AI or anything like that is ever going to replace like a good human interaction. So we reach out to a lot of agents. We're on the phone a ton with agents. I'll jump on the phone myself if there's like a deal that needs to be closed, or like they have any legitimacy questions about the company or anything like that. Like they need to know more about me or like what we're doing. I'll jump on the phone with the agent and really kind of give them the breakdown, hey, of what we did last year. This is what our company is all about, blah blah blah. So try to build a good relationship with agents. I think we did probably around 20 deals last year with agents.
Okay, so you're like 28, but okay. So Really quick, when you say reach out to agents, like, are you and your acquisition guy like sitting here dialing agents all day?
My acquisition guy, now he doesn't do that. He used to do that.
Yeah.
Now he essentially, works the warm leads that we have and like nurture leads in the pipeline. We do have a guy in office. His name's Zach. He freaking dials all day.
Oh, okay.
He's on the phone all day with agents trying to, push the company forward, like actually
Yeah.
reach out and, try to build a relationship. And if they're like grilling him on the phone,
Yeah.
as far as like, because he's not going to be the most knowledgeable with like the intricacies of it.
Yeah.
And if they're like the agent's like, it's a big broker. You know how some of these older brokers are. You know, they're grilling into him, like trying to get the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
He'll just pass it on to me, and I'll grill him right back. Let him know that, hey, we're knowledgeable. We know what we're doing. Let's do some deals. What's going on.
That's always fun conversation.
Yeah, it is. It is. I
you
think
have a real estate license? What's your DRE number? You're
yeah.
like, oh my God.
Exactly. Yeah. You'll have a lot of and we usually don't end up ever doing business with agents like that, unfortunately. But the cool agents are like the ones that, they know the game. They know, they understand that a lot of the times, like listing on them MLS and like having a bunch of wholesalers offer you that never have done a deal, isn't necessarily the best for the seller or for, anybody in the party. Because, we've had countless deals this past year where, agents have been like, oh, I'll never sell it off market, or I'll never give you guys the first dibs on it. Everything goes on market. Then it goes on the market. They fall out of contract 3 times, and then they come right back to us and say, oh man, like nobody's serious. I hate investors. Well, working with the wrong ones.
Exactly. So.
So we cold call agents, all day, and not really cold call. We try to like, build a relationship, and then we try to nurture that relationship with like another call. Like, hey, this is Zach. I called you a month ago. Hey, this is Zach again. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is Zach again. God dang, Zach, you're like blowing me up. But at least now they're like, okay, this is this guy from this company. Like, I know him.
What do you think about like? Do you have KPIs on how many agents you're trying to call a day?
I mean, we try to have at least 40 agent conversations for our guy, and then we've got our CRM where we're following up and texting from there as well to agents, like nurturing like actual follow-ups. And then we have something called our VIP list, which is essentially agents that we've done a deal with. Yeah. And at that point, my goal is like, hey, I want to do deals with like 200 agents, and within the next year and a half, 2. Yeah. And then really just live off you have a lot of business. I mean, if you've done a deal with an agent, and you held your word and you did the right thing, a lot of the time is if they're a producing agent, they'll probably bring you another one at some point. I don't know if that's going to be in a month, 2 months, 6 months, but if you do a deal with 200 agents and each one of them brings you, or even half of them bring you a deal the following year. Yeah. I mean, that's 100 deals that you could potentially be doing. So.
100%. Yeah. So you're looking at it more of a long-term thing.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a grind, like building that up. But it's like, you take 15,000 agents, you slowly maneuver 200, 300 of them to people that have done deals with you. And then you really just nurture that list, with calls and texts and you send them gifts or whatever, like cookies or whatnot. So, I think that's kind of the long-term play for, building your market cred. Yeah. And then we still do like the PPL, PPC. Yeah. PPL's freaking expensive as crap. So it's like just here in Vegas, I think everything's like super tight. Like even the marketing, like even the PPL, annoying. It's like your ROI is just probably not good. Our ROI on PPL has probably been like barely scraping 3x the past like couple months, so it's like maybe even a little bit less than that. So it's just just something to kind of keep the deals coming, keep it going, get momentum, keep the guys busy, keep the contractors busy, and then we're probably going to restart doing some targeted cold calling and stuff like that as well. We used to do driving for dollars, super successful with that as well. One of our guys ended up leaving that was doing our driving for dollars. We'll probably hire somebody back on. So I mean, I think last year like agents 20 deals, 8 deals from wholesalers, and then like eight from all these other sources, and and amounted to 54. So that's pretty good. We don't have a bunch of hands in like one bucket where if anything happens, like we're screwed. It's like, hey, I kind of have deals coming everywhere, and I don't know if that's necessarily like the most scalable, but
it's healthy.
But it's healthy enough that like if they said no more PPL ever again, then it's like, okay, well, whatever. If
Yeah. What about like what was your like net margin on the 1.2?
Net margin was I want to say like between 65 and 70%.
That's good. That's very
That's a
healthy.
good margin.
Yeah. Most wholesale companies typically run around like a 30 to 40% margin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of overhead, a lot of
Yep.
people and stuff like that.
Yep.
My main acquisitions guy, he's switched to commission only. He gets paid, a good amount on like wholesale deals. He's taking home a quarter of it of the assignment.
Is that on all deals or just deals that he gets?
The deals that he gets, yeah.
Got it.
Deals that he gets from the agent acquisition. But now that we have other people working under him, it's like he's picking up, their leads and they're essentially lead managers, and he's the closer. So,
got it. And he gets paid 25%?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
that's good.
I'd say it's higher than like the industry, but at the same time,
sure.
I'm like, hey, I want to make sure that the good people kind of stay. And then on the agent acquisition model, our marketing is a little less than, let's say, like direct to seller would be. So that like offsets and evens out. You know what I mean? And I'd rather my acquisition guy make more than spend more money on marketing. It's a no brainer. You know what I mean? It essentially becomes the same.
Are you guys texting agents?
We do some texting, yeah.
Have you seen me texting people?
We have, yeah. We've gotten your texts. We've gotten your text.
Yeah. I started doing that, and I think it keeps getting shut down. That's the problem right now. So it'll work for like a week, and then we got flagged, and then we're down, and then we got to call and get it back up, and then it's going for a couple weeks, and then it gets shut down. So that's been our problem.
Yeah. Are you guys? What are you guys using? Like
Go High Level.
Go High Level.
Yeah. What CRM do you use?
We just switched to Go High Level.
Got it. Are you doing your texting and everything from Go High Level?
No, we're not.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to get off it.
Yeah,
get off of it because
I think it's good for follow up. But are you guys mass texting? That's the problem. I think.
Yeah,
I think they'll probably shut that down. If you like follow up and do drips and stuff, I think it's fine.
Yeah,
but if you're like doing like 5,000 a day, then it's like
no, we're not even doing close.
Like
we're doing like 300.
Oh,
yeah. How many texts are you sending a day?
I think we're sending like 700 a day.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot at all.
Yeah.
But we also don't want to get flagged, and we want to have more meaningful conversations with agents. Like the text is just to get our foot in the door.
Yeah.
And then we kind of put them down the pipeline where it's like now they know about us. Now the next follow up is like, hey, we spoke before. This is from this is Vlad from my property, and then. The next conversation, if they ever bring us a deal, is like, hey, thanks for sending us a deal. Sorry it didn't work out.
Yeah.
This is we kind of have a sequence or system that we work off of.
Yeah. That's kind of like the strategy that I'm using right now. And then I've been doing MLS acquisitions again.
MLS is tight right now. Huh?
Bro, everything is so tight out here. It's so annoying, bro.
Yeah.
I get mad. I'm like, dude, in California, so the other day I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just try MLS in California. I found deals that I can make 20K in one day. But the problem is like in California, you want to make more.
Yeah.
Like if the house is going to resell for 450, I don't want to make 20K.
Yeah.
But in Vegas, people are doing that. Like straight up. Like I'll talk to students in Wealthy Investor and they're like, "Oh, I locked up this deal." I'm like, "Which deal?" "Oh, on Idaho Street." I don't know if you saw that one that recently was out there. I was like, "Oh, what'd you get it for?" I run the numbers. I'm like, "You're going to make 20K?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Bro, on a 470 ARV, you're going to make 20K. That's wild."
Yeah. Our minimum that I try to shoot for is 30.
Yeah.
And then obviously as the price goes up, like if it's a 550 resale, 480, like we try to make more like 40, at least.
Yeah.
Forget about the 10% of ARV. Like that's not happening. And
It's
if
so annoying.
600 resale, you're not getting 60. Like you're probably shooting for 40 still.
Which is wild. Yeah. Which is absolutely wild because I'm just like, dude, in Cali, if I were to get like a 30K, that's kind of like a disappointment.
Yeah.
I'm like used to getting 40, 50, 60 or more. So then when I see people out here flipping houses for 15, 20K, I'm just like,
it's absolutely insane. Yeah. And the problem is like our company, like even though we're flipping, I mean, we're still hard money, we're not like loaded up on cash, So it's like, since it's hard money, we're already a step behind the people with cash. But the problem is the people with cash are okay with making like 5K on the flip.
Which are
so
wild.
It's like we're like 30K off from, their MAO.
Yep.
Because hard money cost plus, they're willing to absolutely sacrifice all this profit.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's tight right now. I mean, it's tough to get deals, but it's always, I feel like as real estate, gets more popular and as, as the real estate market here is just super like tight, like no inventory.
Yeah.
It's just gonna stay hard. So you just gotta figure it out.
Yeah. And I actually disagree with you, and I'm gonna explain to you why.
Okay.
So I think real estate is becoming less popular.
Okay.
I think a lot of people are leaving the industry, and it's not as sexy as it's been the last 2 to 3 years.
Okay. I would like to see that.
Yeah.
I'd be good with that.
Yeah. I would love to. Honestly, the way I'm looking at it is right now we're going through almost like a real estate recession where, things are going to be stagnant. There's still money to be made.
Yeah.
So I don't want people to think like, oh, it's hard, I can't do it. It's just like not as easy. And what that's going to do is push people out. People are going to give up. They're going to start doing other things. The amount of realtors is going to go down. The views on real estate programs is going to go down. These influencers in the coaching space will make more money. It's going to go into like a little flatter period. But then once they start messing with interest rates to bring them lower, then we're going to see the same thing that we saw before, where like a bunch of people are getting in, but then people are making money because of interest rates.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was talking to some of the people at Bigger Pockets, and like their views and stuff have gone down a lot. Even like some of our views are up. So shout out to you guys. Subscribe if you haven't. Give this video a like. But our views are up because we're smaller, but like all these other big education companies I've been talking to, and they're seeing a dip in like people getting to programs, watching the content, and all that stuff.
I could see that. I mean, it definitely got to work twice as hard for half the money right now.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
That's what I always say, and it's like, a lot of realtors are not doing squat right now.
No, a lot of realtors are looking for jobs. Yeah. We've had a lot of good realtors that have came in here. And I'm like, dude, you sold 15 houses last year. Like, why are you looking for a job? And they're like, oh, it's been hard. Da, da, da. I'm like, damn, like good realtors, not like, oh, you've never sold a house or you sold one deal. Like, where they actually had some sort of business, but they're looking for supplemental income, which is tough, which is kind of wild to see happen.
Yeah, for sure. I saw like a mortgage lender that I know, and I saw them like working at a restaurant. I was like, oh shoot, like mortgage industry is tough right now too.
Oh
so,
100%.
Tough to originate at 6-7%, 8%. So definitely. I think you're right. I think it's more popular than it was 5 years ago, but it's less popular than it was
2 years ago. Or a year ago. Yeah.
Where before it was like, hey, you want to make easy money, or good
wholesale.
money in real estate? You got to wholesale it. Like the market right now, go find the deal. Like it's tough.
Yeah,
it's very unless
tough.
If you're doing it part time or as a hobbyist, I'm gonna wholesale 5 hours a week. Like, okay, good luck. It's probably not happening. Like we're in office, 5 days a week, and right now we're averaging 1 to 2 deals a week, maybe.
That's really good.
I mean, it's good, but it's damn, we're in the office every day. So it's I'm just saying from the standpoint of, hey, doing it on a very, very part-time basis. You could do it on a part-time basis, but you got to put in every hour. You got to get obsessed with it,
100%.
Versus, well, I'll do it when I have some time, 3 hours a week, on a Saturday. You're probably not going to get a deal
no
ever
for a year.
Yeah, for a year. You might get one lucky, but that's about it.
It's funny too, because I just had Angel Hernandez on the podcast, and he talked about his story where he was driving for dollars for 6 months. And he was like, oh, I wasn't doing it that much. I was like, how much were you doing it? He's like, 2 to 3 hours a day. I was like, that's a lot of, that's a lot of driving around consistently for 6 months
before you got a deal.
Wow. Yeah, but then he started text messaging, and then he got 12 deals in the next 6 months or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you haven't, go watch that podcast where we talk about text messaging. But yeah, when he explained that to me, I was like, yeah, dude, typically when you're starting off, your first deal is typically the hardest, and then your time in between deals starts to shorten.
Yeah.
Where you're doing a deal or two a week, and then pretty soon you'll be doing 2 to 4 deals a week. And then when you have a week where you got one, you're like, dude, are we going to go bankrupt? Like, what is going on? Like, am I,
Right.
did I lose it? Like, what's going on? But
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing with this business too. It's like, it's so, I mean, we all want to pretend like, oh yeah, well, my business is like bulletproof and like it's so like predictable. But the thing is, it's like no matter what in this business, you're gonna have like down weeks or even down months sometimes.
I had a
And then
down month this month.
and then you're like, damn, I'm up right now. Like we're going crazy
You're
this
killing
month.
it,
Like
listening to Drake and just driving.
If we just do this like every month, like dude, and then it's like, oh shoot, like what's going on this month? So I think that's super expected, especially like even us at like what we're doing now. It's like, holy crap, like you have a week where you're like, shoot, we just got 3 deals this week, and then it's like, are we going to lock this one up for the week? Or like what's going on? Like, what's happening?
You start looking at those 15K flips. You're like, should I do one?
Like, you're like, I don't know. That's happened before too, where like it's like, man, we're due for one. Let's just buy it, you know. But I'm
trying to keep I'll really manage it. And
keep the contractors busy. Yeah, you know, maybe they'll give me a discount on the rehab.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think I agree, for sure agree with you. It's super tight right now, not as popular, but I think if you can get through this, then when it's time to really make some money and the interest rates go down, you're just going to exponentially increase what you're doing.
All right, so let's transition to direct to seller marketing. So you have almost like a secret new strategy that I feel like is starting to become more popular, which is PPL. I feel like it wasn't super popular a couple years ago, and now it's starting to become more and more popular. Yeah. Like for people that don't know what PPL is, can you explain it?
Yeah. PPL is just pay per lead. Basically, instead of PPC, where you pay per click, you have to set up the campaign, do it through your website. PPL is just pay per lead. So literally they send you the lead, you pay them. Yeah. And I think the reason that is getting more popular is, one, you don't have to, there's really 2 reasons. One, you don't have to set up any of your own like marketing through your website. That takes time, you know, that takes money, that takes effort, that takes hiring somebody, blah, blah, blah. Versus PPL, you could just kind of plug and play. Yeah. But I think the more important part of it is with PPL, these companies are spending like millions of dollars on ad spend because they're doing it for investors nationwide in every county. Yeah. So their algorithms are going to be way more refined with Google than yours are when you start out. Because it's like, oh yeah, well, I just started, I'm spending $5,000 a month. Google's like, whatever, screw this guy. But if this company's like spending $250,000 a month, they're like, they got their own rep, like everything's in house. So their ads are going to be more refined just because the Google system like knows like what they want, like what are they looking for, which is distressed property. So that's how they make their margin. I mean, once you start spending a lot of money, their cost per lead goes down, then they sell it to you for like 5x that. So these PPL companies are absolutely crushing it. Yeah. But if you can, add that in as a little, marketing strategy within your already kind of marketing system, then you could definitely, like I said, we probably do like 2.5 to 3x on our PPL. I think we've done, maybe 1 or 2 this year so far off of it. But there's definitely, an opportunity to do it. I mean, your cost per lead is going to be way higher than like texting or cold calling and stuff. But
way higher.
It'll be shortened.
What are you typically paying for your PPL? And then like, how many leads does it usually take for you to convert?
Usually we're paying about, it varies. At one point we were paying like a lot, and then I stopped it. Then we found another source, and now we're paying like $375 to $400. Damn. Which is a lot. That's a lot. But
that is super high.
But one thing with PPL companies that's a little different than PPC is they offer you refunds. Yeah. So realistically, if you go and you relaunch your own PPC, you ain't getting no refund. Like if somebody submits like, screw you, I don't want to sell on your website for their name and then no number, no email, well, you just paid for that regardless. But if somebody does that on PPL, automatically you can get a refund for it. Yeah. So you spent $375 on the lead, but you got a refund. So I mean, realistically, I think our refund rate is we're probably refunding 1 in every 4, 1 in every 3.
Okay.
So if you do the math, that's essentially, you can decrease that off the cost, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like you're spending a quarter to 1/3 less per lead realistically. So we're not really spending 375 to 400. We're realistically spending like $300.
Yeah.
Where maybe your cost per click on a new PPC campaign would be like 250, maybe
That's wild.
300.
Yeah.
So it's very similar in a way. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, but obviously it's because you're not launching your own, ads and stuff like that.
What about like how many leads does it usually take for you to convert?
Usually I'd say anywhere from 10 to 15.
Oh, okay.
10 to 15 leads. So usually probably around like 12. So I mean, our cost per conversion is probably going to be around $5,000.
Damn.
So that's high.
Yeah, it's very high.
That's very high. But if you can make a minimum of 15 on a wholesale and you can make 30 on a flip, you average it out. Let's say you're making like 17, 18, per deal. And you spend 5 for it. I mean, that's a 3x. I mean, it makes sense for some. I mean, especially if you're trying to keep deals in the door. Obviously, if that's like your first, if you have 5K, if you have 5K in marketing to start out, I probably would not recommend because you could close something, or 5K could just go out the window. Yeah, it essentially becomes like a volume game. Like it's 5K average, not every 5K we automatically get a deal. Yeah, so it's like we could spend 10K and not get a deal, and then spend the next 5 and get 3 deals, and then it averages out to 5K per deal. So that's the volume aspect of it. Got it.
And then like, is there anything else you think people should know about PPL?
I mean, PPL, there's a ton of different data providers out there, like a ton of different PPL providers. It was super popular in other industries always. So I'm like surprised it's just now getting to real estate, but PPL has always been a thing for like the retail, agent industry and the mortgages and stuff like that. So I think, PPL is just, it's going to keep getting bigger. I guess there's some regulation coming out now about like,
selling leads.
Yeah, about selling leads, how like you can't, but whatever, regulation always gets, there's always a work around it. Yeah. I'm sure they'll probably, figure something out, especially these big companies. So if, you're looking to start with PPL, I think, you kind of have to have a healthy marketing budget. You can give it a shot. If you're trying to start your own PPL company, I think that's very profitable as well, for 100%,
sure. 100%. $200, $300 for.
I mean, if you're spending, like I said, there's, you're selling it for 400. Let's say a quarter of the people, dispute it. You're selling it for 300. I mean, at their scale, they're probably getting that lead for like $30 to $40.
So, what leads can you dispute?
You can dispute. It depends on the site, but like one of the sites we use is MLS listed. So like automatically, if it's on the MLS, like under contract or contingent or whatever, you can dispute it. If it's a manufactured home, in like a park, like because we get those. Yeah. Like random. Yeah. I mean, if it's like on land, I don't remember if you can dispute it, but because manufactured homes you can make money on too, but like not the park ones. Yeah. Like lot space 13, like you know what I mean? That's just not going to work. No valid phone number, no valid email, stuff like that. Yeah. Sometimes you can dispute if they straight up tell you like, oh, I never filled out the form, which like how does that even happen? But it happens. They're like, oh, it automatically filled it out for me, like whatever. You just have to show them proof. So like a call recording or like a text message from the seller. There's a few different ways you kind of dispute it.
Got it. Okay, so then what would be like another good marketing stream for someone trying to get into wholesaling and flipping?
I think the best way is driving for dollars. I mean, that's gonna be your best shot. Essentially cold calling, but you find the list of 100, 200 properties and you really just hammer down and, you're the one that's consistently doing it. Like jump on the phones and start calling like every day. Hey, I'm going to go drive for dollars on Monday, Wednesday, between that Monday, Tuesday, and beginning of Wednesday, I'll call through that list and then, call through that list. You keep doing it consistently. You might not get a deal right away. It might take you a little while, obviously, but I think that's the best way to do it. The lowest cost. All you have to pay for is, you could get a dialer if you want, or you could just freaking phone call. That's how I used to do it. Mm-hmm. All you have to really pay for is the skip tracing and your gas. That's it. I think that's the best way to do it. And I think I mean, I think you could still do it like kind of at scale. You just got to hire a couple people into your company that
Yeah.
does it. We'll probably end up hiring, somebody to do driving for dollars. So if you guys are interested, reach out to me. But
We'll
yeah,
leave
I
your
think
information in the description below.
yeah, for sure. We had a guy that was doing it. He was super successful. I think he made like, I think in the first 2.5 months or 3 months, he made like 20K
Damn.
commissions
Yeah.
with the company, like with me. So
Yeah.
realistically, we had even bigger ROI on that.
Yeah.
So all he would do is deal machine it out, go driving 2-3 times a week, and then hop on the phone and just freaking dial through the people.
Yeah.
Like elementary, like very
beginner.
very beginner. But
Yeah.
I think it's a great marketing source.
What about, you were doing PPC too, right?
Yeah, we've been on and off with PPC for like a little while. Like we were doing
Years.
PPC. Yeah,
I remember when we had our accountability group, you were like,
yeah,
doing PPC.
Yeah, my relationship with PPC is like whatever, because I feel like a lot of these marketing companies just plug and play, and then it's like a waste of money a little bit. So you got to find a good company. We just found a new one that we're going to try to use. At one point, I'd like to just bring it all in house and just have somebody in house do it. I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, that is
somebody
the best.
running your in house ads.
Yeah.
Versus like a company, because then it's like a direct loop of like feedback.
Yeah.
Versus
Speed is everything's up.
Speed to implementation is
Yeah.
way faster, versus like once a month they'll get on a call with you like, so how'd your whatever perform? Like, dang, I just burned like 10 grand in marketing.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean how it performed? It did terrible. So I think if you're doing PPC and you want to be like a pro at it, I think bringing somebody in house to do it. They don't have to be in your office, but they've got to be like accessible to you at any point. Like tweaking ads on a bi-weekly or weekly basis.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. But we're still not there, so we're going to be using another company, and hopefully that they do a good job.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about hiring. So, what are some of the biggest challenges you've had with hiring, and then what are some things that you've done that were really good and worked?
Yeah. For hiring, I think it's important to bring people on that are kind of committed to the brand. You know what I mean? A lot of people, especially in this industry, they kind of come in and they're like, oh, I want to like learn from you. Like, I want to get into this business. Kind of, I mean, everybody does, but it's kind of like a red flag to an extent. If your whole mindset from the very beginning is, hey, I'm just going to come in and learn and leave. You know what I mean? That's a lot of my resources to train and stuff like that. So now when I look, I basically tell them like, look, if you're coming in, I'm taking you from your current situation, which sounds like you hate it and it's crappy. I need you to really commit and really work hard and, really double down. We don't, I'm not really looking for somebody that's here to intern or something like that. Like, and that's fared well, because some people are, oh, well, my goal was to just kind of learn a little and then bounce. It's like, okay, well, you can leave now. I'm looking for people that are, starting the company. So my acquisitions guy, when he started, I was like, hey, look, I'm bringing you on, but you've really got to you've really got to give me at least a year for sure of me like training you. There's no, hey, I'm going to stay here for a little bit. And he was like, no, I'm committed. So stayed for a year. He's been with me for over a year now. I'm like, okay, so what's your plan? Like, are you planning to leave, or like, are we building this thing up to the moon? And he was like, no. I'm like, I'm committed. We're here. Made good money last year. Let's double down on it. Let's do even more this year. Yeah. Cool. Like, that's the kind of commitment that I want on my end. And obviously I want to make sure that, my guys are happy. So that's the number one thing. It's like figuring out what their intrinsic motivation is. Like, what's, is it, hey, I want to be a part of something bigger than, myself? Or is it like, hey, teach me what you know, and I kind of want to, leave. Do
your own thing.
Yep, for sure. So
yeah, I think a lot of people are they fear that. That's why they don't hire, because they're afraid that they're going to spend time.
That's going to happen. We had it, like I said, the guy that was doing our driving for dollars. He ended up leaving. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's 100% on him, and I was just like, that's fine. I mean, you can't stop that. There, people are going to leave. What I mean? I'm just saying, don't knowingly bring in people that are just like, their original plan was to leave in the beginning, from the very beginning. Like, people's plans change and people's attitudes change, and everything changes. So people will leave. That's not something to fear. Like, then you just replace, figure out a way to replace them. Like, that's just part of the game. But you want to bring on people that kind of want to build with you for the long term. And then also, I think another like tip for hiring that we start doing now is like, we would hire people and put them on like, 30-day, 90-day kind of like trial or whatever. But honestly, some people are just like not very good. Like they're good in the interview, but then they're like terrible on the phone, for example, or they like, just can't grasp it. So now what we'll do is we'll just do like a 3-day like trial. Like come in and hit the phones. Like if I feel like there's some fixing you, like you're pretty good, like you're good, you just don't have the real estate knowledge, and that stuff can be fixed. Perfect. But if you're like, you get on and you're like, like don't know the phones, like hate the phones, aren't good at calling, can't communicate on the phone, like fooled me in the interview, then it's just like, hey, I don't think this would be the best position. Because realistically, most of our in-house positions are like calling on the phone. That's really what real estate is. It's calling, cold calling, warm calling, texting, stuff like that. So super important.
How do you like? I know you said your acquisition guy is commission only now. How do you pay your new people?
They get a 3-month base plus commission.
What's the base?
The base is $2,000 a month.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair.
Yeah. They get paid base plus commission, and essentially, after 3 months, then they go to full commission only.
Yeah, I think. Have you had any challenges or anything you've done where it was like, oh, that was stupid, I shouldn't have done that?
As far as hiring?
Yeah, hiring or next we're gonna go to leadership.
I think for hiring,
I'll share some of mine. So I've hired too many people at the same time before.
Okay.
Where I'm like, dude, we need to scale. We bring in a bunch of salespeople, and then because there's so many bases and so many people to try to train at the same time, that I can't really like give them the time and effort that it takes to build someone up.
Yep.
And then we end up laying people off. I've done where I hire someone and I know and I still have this problem, so it's so annoying. But I hire someone and I like them. They're a good worker, but they don't have the skill set for the role that I need them to do. Mm-hmm. Like maybe they're like not super tech savvy, and I need an admin person who needs to be able to navigate through documents and paying bills and all this crap without being handheld.
Yep.
Or a salesperson that's like, oh, I really just don't like getting on the phones. And I'm like, it's okay. Like we're going to work through this and and I spend all this time trying to help them overcome that, where I should have just hired someone that like loved to be on the phones and they love talking to people. And so I've made that mistake over and over again. And then I keep them too long because I'm too much of a PUSSY to let them go, and I'm just trying to like keep them on.
You're trying to get them to work.
Yeah, I'm just really trying to get it to work, when in reality I saw the issue. Mm-hmm. Like you said, 3 days in, 2 weeks in, but I just like let it linger for too long.
Yeah, for sure. I think noticing the red flag sometimes is tough.
Yeah.
Or like you notice it, but then you like, well, I like them. Like that's like, is it really a red flag, or like am I being like too picky on them? Like that's kind of that's been a problem that I've had in the past. And I think my problem on my hiring end kind of stems from maybe me not implementing fast enough as far as like hiring goes. Sometimes I'm like, well, we really need to hire for this role. Well, let's like interview, like we'll interview. We need somebody like perfect for the position, where I feel like that's not necessarily always the best thing to do.
Yeah.
You don't want to rush stuff, but you also don't want to like drag stuff on for like
months.
Like 2-3 weeks when you could do it today. So I think now what I'm working on is obviously speed of implementation with hiring. Like I've always been good with marketing and stuff like that, like systems. But when it comes down to hiring, I'm always like, well, we need to hire this role, but here, let's interview like at the end of this week, and then we'll bring somebody in next. It's like, no, we're interviewing today. You're in on Monday. You're starting your 3-day trial. We're going to figure out if you're good or not. If you're not good, you're out.
Yeah.
That's basically kind of the mindset that I want to start having now.
Yeah.
Because right now, like I said, we got a couple guys in the office, but we need to beef it up to about 6-7 people. I want to have by the end of the year.
Yeah. Okay. Let's transition to leadership. So like for me, I go through this with like leadership. There's times where I like care a lot and I'm on point, and then there's times where I just like lose it and I'm just like, F it, I'm doing it myself. I'm in the trenches. I'm trying to close. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. And then I'm like, all right, I gotta like stop doing this and I gotta like lead. What are some of your strengths and challenges with leadership?
I think I'm the same way as you. I think a lot of the times I'll be like, hey, I'm doing a good job of like just letting them control it and just, having the oversight. But then I'm like, shoot, we're not doing the right way. Like, let me get in there and like freaking do it myself and show it. I think sometimes that can be good as long as you're like showing them like the way to properly do it, and you're not like getting caught up in like, here, I'm going to show you how to properly do it. And then you catch yourself doing it for like multiple days in a row. It's like, we get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I've done this, with my guys, like, hey, let me jump on the phone and call. But I'm never like, hey, let me call. I'll be cold calling the rest of this week. Like, I'll jump on and I'll call for a couple hours. And I'm like, hey, watch me do it. And then, try to learn and take some notes, and then we'll do it. So I think with leadership, you have to show. I think sometimes showing is better than you can tell, but you can't get caught up with just like, well, why am I even showing you how to do this? Let me just do it myself. Like, that's the wrong approach to do it.
100%.
For sure. I think with leadership and, I think a part of leadership is just being really honest with people sometimes. It's like, it's like, hey, this is not really working out, or, hey, I need you to do, I've told you to do this, but I made a mistake. I need you to do, I need it done more like this. And I've struggled with that sometimes where I'm just like, well, like, I don't really want to like, step on anybody's toes or like hurt anybody's feelings. But sometimes I think the honesty is super, super important, especially as you're trying to build a business. Cause if your team doesn't see that you like care enough to give them the feedback, then, they're like, well, does he even care? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, you care, but you just don't want to, kind of offend anybody or something like that. So that's been a problem that I had in the past. I think I'm more like vocal now for sure with it, where I'm like, hey, this is what I need done. This is the way I want it done. And I think it's not for me. I think it'll benefit you and it'll allow you to make more money.
Yeah.
Whether it's systems, processes, the way they're, going about it and stuff like that.
Yeah. What do you think as far as just overall as a business owner and leader, are you really good at? And then what do you need help with?
I think, as a business leader, I think I'm good at like leading from the front. I think I'm good at that. I think a lot of business, I think it's like super sexy in the business now to be like, well, I got everybody runs my company for me, and I'm like super hands off.
100%.
But then
I agree with you.
But then it's like, okay, well, your company is like going downhill because of that. Like, great, great. It's working for like 6 months, but then all of a sudden everybody leaves and you're like starting to ground zero again.
Exactly.
Like, that's not how it works. So I think for me, what I'm good at is leading from the front. Like, I'm in the office every day. I'm not slacking. I'm not traveling the world and I'm like, hey guys, like, how's it going? You guys getting deals back there? It's like, I'm in the trenches. I love it. I like to be around the guy. I like to show him the proper way. Obviously I like to travel as well. So if like, if I need to take, a Thursday, Friday off or something every like month or couple months, like, sure, I'll do it. But I think leading from the front and being able to show people that, like, I'm not going to ask you to do something that I'm not doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not, so if you're complaining about what you're doing, that's a you problem. It's not like I'm some asshole that's like, oh, well, I need you to do it like this. Meanwhile, I'm, out partying and like, I'm not in the office. It's like, I'm going to ask you to do stuff that I'm already doing. And if you can't do that, maybe you're just not fit for the role. Cause I've done this for 5 years now and I'm here every day. So that's one aspect of it that I think I'm good at. It's like, I bring people on and I'm like, you're going to be in the office, you're going to be grinding. But guess what? I'm being in the office and I'll be grinding too. So we're going to be here right together. If you need any help, I'm going to always be there for you. So I think that's a strength of mine, but I think obviously just building a business is tough. So I think it's sometimes tough to figure out, kind of you get super stuck like back to leading from the front. Like sometimes I'll get stuck with doing what we're doing and like trying to force it versus like taking a step above and like taking a high level look at the business and being like, okay, well, this is where we're slipping, or this is where I'm not putting enough of my effort, or this is where I need to hire at. You know, sometimes I'm like, okay, we'll hire the guy on. We're good now. We're just grind. But it's like, oh well, I mean, we're not grinding efficiently. We're like missing. We've got holes here, holes there. So I think that's been a big challenge for me. It's like taking a step back, taking that high level view, and being able to like really critique my performance. I guess, versus like, oh man, like it's like we're not getting the results we need. Like let's just go harder.
Yeah. I think I've noticed that a lot of people struggle with staying small where they're like, okay, maybe they're just grinding it out and they're doing great. And then I'm like, dude, like if you brought on 1 or 2 people, you would literally like 2-3x what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then they struggle with that. And then they bring in 2 to 3 people and then they kind of stay there. And then if they got to like the 5 or 6, it would be way smoother and they would make more because it's still not that many people.
Yeah. I think that's exactly my like biggest struggle, I think.
Yeah.
I never want to say like I get stagnant, but you do get in a routine. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, this is our routine. But sometimes you need to really like, exactly. You're stuck at the couple people, but you need those extra few more people to run efficiently, but still be profitable.
Yep.
Like obviously don't hire like 30 people at the same time. And then you're like not profitable and you're like bleeding cash every month. That's like not the way to do it. But being faster to actually, you know, keep the business growing. Healthy. Is very important.
Yeah. So when I hired, I think it was 2022 or 2021, I had 2 acquisition people and they freaking blew up my business. Like they blew it up. Like as soon as I brought them on, they were getting deals every week. And I was like, this is amazing. And it really helped me like take a step back. And then there was a time where I struggled with hiring an assistant forever. Look at all these stupid bills. Those are all bills. I would always be like, oh, I'll just do it real quick. I'll just do this real quick. I'll just do that real quick. Things are I'm not paying property taxes. Utilities are turning off on flips. I bought a flip, never turned the gas on. Like I have all these issues going on because I just refused. And then finally, after I hired my first true assistant, I will never go back to not having an assistant because I know how much time and mental space it saves me. But I see a lot of people that just struggle with that where they're like, oh, like, you know, I'm still doing this crap that you shouldn't be doing. And I'm like, bro, like hire an assistant. Once you do it, if you find a good assistant, they're going to do everything you need plus more. And then it almost inspires you more to work harder because now you need to make sure that you're taking care of them. And then you're not wasting your time on things that like 2, 3, 4 hours a week on just stuff that just doesn't matter. I see a lot of people struggle with that too.
Yeah, I think I struggle with that as well.
Really?
I think for me, I still don't have an assistant.
Yeah.
You know, I do a lot of, you know, I pay the bills, you know what I mean? I do it all. So it's like, you know, I guess my question for you and like something you could help me with is, I guess one question would be how much are you paying your assistant, if you don't mind telling me? And then 2 is, you know, what are your assistant's roles? Because there's so much I feel like there's so much in my business that I know in my head, like this needs to be done. But how do I, you know, tell them like this is all that needs to be freaking done? Like
I could literally get you an assistant, but you have to sell me a deal. Deal.
Deal.
All right. So I'll share with everyone else. So I pay my assistants between $15 an hour. I feel like that's like the sweet spot. $15 an hour to max $2,000.
An hour.
An hour. Yeah. And then that's max. And then
How many hours a week would you say you're working? 40?
40.
40
yeah,
hours.
40. I mean, but honestly, I know a lot of times they're not. So I have them doing like other stuff. So there's that. All the assistants I've had real estate licenses. So there's a lot of people who have maybe like a real estate license because they were in property management, or like a real estate license, but they just don't really use it, and like stuff like that. Like, oh, the mom that got a real estate license that sells houses here and there. Like those are the people that I get, and people are going to listen to this like, there's no way, bro. There's like you said, there's 15,000 realtors in Vegas. There's a lot of them that don't sell any houses.
Yeah.
A lot.
Probably 80%.
A lot.
Like
of them.
at least 70%.
Exactly. Yeah. So all my assistants always have a real estate license. Why? Because they're listing everything. I'm not listing anything. They can use the MLS. So now I don't have to teach them how to use the MLS. Like, oh, you don't know how to use the MLS? Go to the Galvar. Go do the training, and you're gonna learn. I'm not gonna sit here and babysit you. Or these contracts, like you're gonna go to Galvar and get the training. I'm not sitting here training them how to use the contracts, and they have to know, right? So Number one, 15 to $20 an hour. Number two, they have to have a real estate license. Number three, I'll pay them like a flat fee on listings. So I'll pay them like $1,500 to $2,000 every time they sell a listing.
That's in addition to the 15 to 20.
Yep. That's in addition to the 15 to 20. If I like, let's just say I get a listing myself, I will still pay them that, but then I get the rest. So I just don't want to get stuck like, you know, putting in the listing, like doing all this crap, you know, it just like slowly starts to like add up, like putting a lockbox on there. Oh, the red tagged. Okay. You know, whatever. The gas company needs someone to meet them there. Like that's their job. They're going to do anything that I have to leave the office for. They're going to do, to go get a check, to go put on a lockbox, to go, whatever the case may be. I'm not leaving the office for nothing.
Does your assistant work in office?
Yep. She's over there. Yep.
Okay.
And then, so there's that. And then, once I've had other assistants that like, once they're up and going, I don't care if they work from home. Like, I literally don't care. Work from home. Great. Like, I don't need to see you pay all these bills. As long as everything's getting finished, that's great. The next thing about the assistant is they do personal stuff too. So this is not just like a real estate thing. So like my car, whatever plate expired, they're at the DMV waiting for the 2 hours. Like call me when we're about to come up, call me. I'll go in, do whatever I got to do, leave. My car engine check light is on. You're going to take it to Mercedes and sit there and wait or whatever. Yeah. So it's like a personal and real estate assistant because there's so much on the personal side that comes up.
Yeah.
That it's hard. Like, okay, you got to take your dogs to the freaking vet. That takes an hour to go home, get the dogs, take them to the vet, you know, come back to the office, go back, like just all these little things that are just like a stupid waste of time, especially when you get married and have kids. Like I can't sit there and like do all this stuff.
Right.
It's just dumb.
Right. No, for sure. For sure. Yeah. That's been my biggest thing. It's like, oh, I need us to hire an assistant, but I'm like, well, what are they going to be doing? Like, how do I give them the blueprint of like, this is all the stuff that needs to be done. Cause I just kind of do it as it comes up, you know what I mean? So I guess maybe I just need to document the stuff that I do on the daily basis that I need help with.
Yeah. And then, or when they're there, like I would always just give them stuff like, like that pile of mail. I'm like, here, like, can you just take care of this? There's a bunch of checks in there, like refunds from insurance and utilities. Like put all the checks right here. I'll scan them into my bank account. Oh, you got to pay this. Here's my card. Yeah. Go pay all the stuff. Just like all these things
as it comes, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Just stuff as it comes. And then on their downtime, I'll be like, all right, you're going to be on the MLS making offers. Like, yeah. So like, or you're going to be driving for dollars, or you're going to be like, just things come up, bookkeeping, like, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Definitely. But yeah. I think that's smart.
The only mistakes I've made is like, if they're not busy, like, yeah, they could do sales stuff, but there's probably more stuff that I could have them do. Like even like go back and do bookkeeping, like just start it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just like, there's so much, you know how it is like running a business with like taxes and like, freaking all this personal crap all the time. Like I need to go to the eye doctor. I'm like, hey, like book an appointment for me to go to the eye doctor. I lost my ID. Hey, go on the DMV website and order an ID. Yeah. Just like all, and then you realize how much crap you're actually doing. Yeah. When you could just make a list every day and be like, here, do this, here, do that.
Yep.
So yeah.
For sure. Definitely. Yeah. I think there's, always, especially like personal stuff that just comes up and you're like, shoot.
You just put it off.
I either put it off or like, I'm like, oh, well, let me like go before work, like early. Yeah. And then it takes long, and then you're like coming into work like a little late, and you're like, golly, like could have been doing stuff.
Yeah, paying tickets. I've done that too, where I'm like, go for some reason in California, and this is probably so long, so I apologize for people listening to this, but like in California, there's some places where you have to go to turn on utilities in person for some reason. Yeah, so stupid. So just like things like that, or like you have to go downtown to pay a ticket. That's what they're doing. For sure. So yeah. Smart. But all right. I know this ended on a weird note, but if people want to find you, where do they go?
Instagram. I'm Pretty active on Instagram. The Vlad Plot, TheVladPlot. Yeah, you guys can find me, reach out to me. If you guys have any questions, PPL or agent acquisitions, or you're looking to drive for dollars for us in Vegas.
There we go.
You name it, or you want to be an assistant, reach out to me. Appreciate you, Brian. You and Ryan have been super instrumental in my success and all the growth within the past couple of years. So definitely appreciate you guys, and always happy to jump on a pod.
For sure. Thank you for coming on, brother.
Thank you, brother.
All right, guys. This was the Wealthy Investor Podcast. We're out. Peace.